So, will gold prices still continue to soar higher, or to delve more into the topic today? Joining me, Astronasi founder and CEO Gema Goeyardi. Gema, thank you so much for joining us all the way from Arizona, if I'm not mistaken. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me here. I'm really glad to join you today and share my thoughts about the gold.
All right, so let's delve into this. With so much uncertainty right now, like the Iran-Israel standoff and questions about how far the conflict could escalate, along with uncertainty about the Fed rate card. Now, how do you see this impacting the gold prices at the moment?
If you're following my analysis about the gold, Astronaci got a very distinct view about the gold since 2024. Like every year, we have the particular view based on the financial astrology and the technical analysis. And then we already give the public through our YouTube regarding what's the price range for 2024, regardless what's the issue, because we believe that the price action will discount everything. So I put two numbers. First is 1834, and the upper range is 2,300. Apparently, the 2,300 has been hit in the first quarter, and then if you can see since February 2024, it's like the price astronomically rose higher. For some reason, $500 is already go up like that. And now, if you learn about the cycle that we made, I put April 2024, I published the research on January. The April 2024 is likely to be like intermediate top of the gold until May or June. So it means regardless whatever the Iran and Israel now, they're in war. So it's already priced in like 2 months before. For some reason, somehow people already know that they're gonna make some war. That's why the gold rose significantly. And then if you can see, it's making like a price top, and then it looks like it's going to cool down for a while. But the major trend is still bullish, and a lot of people, like big institutional, they're looking at 2,500 for the gold. But in Astronaci, we're looking at 2,630 to be exact. That will be the upper range upgrade from our previous 2,300 target. So that's I'm looking to 2,630 because the volatility is very, very high, and then we're at the incredible range of gold trading. So if we're looking for the whole 12 months, so now we're looking at 2,630 until 1834. That will be like super wide range for trading. So now the investor must be very careful when the gold has become like this. So you have to spot on time if you want to buy the gold.
Yeah, right. So you mentioned it's very volatile. And beside the risk, geopolitical tension, you mentioned it doesn't look like it's gonna affect so much, but again, it's still very volatile. The Fed fund rates. What factors should a gold investor keep their eye on?
Yeah, you have to know that the gold is very unique asset, and I really happy to trade or invest in gold because it's not hard to read it compared to the oil. So every time you got a disaster, no matter that like the COVID-19 is a part of disaster or war or like economic threat, like slow down economic, and people always move to the gold because gold, they think about like safe haven, okay? And then every time you got a crisis, you got a political or economic crisis, threat, viruses, war, people gonna think that gold is the best solution, so they're gonna buy gold. Then if you are a speculator or you're an investor, whether or not you're long-term or short-term, whenever you listen to that kind of situation, then you may want to follow the big fund. They're gonna put some money, allocate their portfolio into the gold. And regarding the Fed rate, it's very simple. When the Fed cut the rate, okay, it means when people put their money in the bank, they will not get much interest. So they're thinking, like, why should I put the US dollar in the bank or maybe in the bonds? Okay, so if they keep cutting the rate, so it's better for me to change or switch to another assets, which is gold. But if the Fed holds the rate, then the gold will go down. And that's based on the statistic. You can pull up the data and you will see that every time the Fed holds the rate or cut the rate, the gold gonna be make a deep correction at least for 2 or 3 weeks. So that's a correlation. You have to study about intermarket relationship. That's really helpful if you want to buy gold.
Now, some reports, some are saying that central banks like the People's Bank of China increasing their gold reserve at this moment. So do you think this trend will continue?
Yeah, China is really heavy on two things. First is the coal. And number two is the gold commodity, because China is really big on gold. So when you hear that China government make some policy about gold and coal, then we believe that that's going to give a huge impact to the gold market. But somehow there's some variable that cancel each other. So let's say the Fed cut rate compare with the war, compare with the Chinese government policy. So they're going to cancel each other. Now it depends on how big the influence based on the situation. So let's say the Fed gonna hold the rate, okay? Based on the theory, the studies, when the Fed hold the rates, then the gold gonna drop. But if the China or the war comes, then the Fed cut rate doesn't really affect the gold, and gold will still rise. So now it depends how big the impact on each element, because this is like the elements that always around the stories of the gold.
Yeah, so you mentioned earlier, the numbers that you mentioned, 2330, if I'm not mistaken, and your bottom's at 1860, and then it's already been hit.
1834, yeah.
Right, your highest number's already been hit in the first quarter of this year.
Correct.
Now, some analysts and institutions expect that gold might hit actually at the 2,500 level. So, what per 3 ounce? What do you think it will take? What kind of condition that will allow such a? Do we see gold to hit that $2,500 marks?
I'm going to give you three dimensions. The first is about the macroeconomic. We know the war will not stop in the next few months. Israel will never surrender with Palestine, and then when Iran attacking them, they're going to make some revenge. And then this political crisis will push the gold higher. That's number one. And number two, we're talking about the price action analysis under the technical analysis view. We believe that the trend of bullish will still remain in the gold at least for 1 or 2 months, okay? Even though we are now in the little bit bigger correction in the gold, maybe we'll last about like 3 weeks. And based on the wave analysis, I believe now gold is entering wave 4. Wave 4 is a part of the big consolidation. And number 3 is about the astrology view, and this is a cycle based on the statistic. I'm using some planetary combination, put it in the statistic model. You will see that the April will remain like our first year 2024 view, that the peak, the big top formation will happen this month, and then it's going to go down until at least May or June, and then recover again. So it could be 1 month earlier or later, but at least that's the big view. If you want my opinion, gold will look for some strong support now before it rallies again. Now we have to connect like what is the macro, what is the price action one, and then what's the financial astrology cycle. And then when we combine that, I believe that 2630 will be the next terminal for the upside target. Okay, so if people think about 2500, that's a conservative way, but I see another upper area, which is that 2630. If the escalation of the war remains strong, then I believe 2630 is not really hard to be achieved. And then the lowest part will be 1834. And what is the trigger? U.S. election will be the next game for gold.
All right, so your highest number now is corrected at 2630. Now, how do global economic conditions such as inflation rates and currency movement impact gold prices here in Indonesia?
In Indonesia, we'll be fine because we know we got a new president, okay? And then every time when election come, and then now the new decision from the court has been released that we got a new president, Prabowo and Gibran will lead Indonesia, and the market will not react more than we already expected. It means everything is priced in. So until the end of the year, I guess from economic and the macro numbers, it should be fine. But we believe the rupiah is on problems now. Since 2 years ago, I already warned the government as well that the 16,200 is my astronaci target, of course. And then we already seen today 16,200 has been hit. So we're just afraid rupiah could be hit 16.5 or maybe 16.8 this year. So this is one of the factor that the macroeconomy in Indonesia will hit another level inflation. Then the consumer spending will be a problem. You will feel that a lot of prices, like daily spending of the Indonesian people, are going to increase, and then their buying power will be affected. And if that happened, we're on the big troubles. And then that's a new job for our new president. This is a big things to do.
All right. Before I let you go, so I have another last one. What's your prediction for future gold prices in Indonesia and globally? And do you expect any specific trends or changes in the upcoming months?
I don't really follow Indonesian gold, but mostly the time relation between the gold and the spot is about like 2 or 3 weeks delay. So whenever you see like the gold now is going down, will take about 2 or 3 weeks to have Indonesian gold price to be corrected for at least 3%. But the difference is not really high. When the gold price in the spot market rose like 5%, I believe, in the few months, and then Indonesian gold normally will increase about like 5 to 10%. So it's completely depend what's the demand in local Indonesia. We don't really get affected with international unless it's really anomaly, like a spot gold rose like $500, then Indonesian will increase like 10 to 20% on the market. So that's all.
All right, Mas Gema, thank you so much for being on the show, sharing on your thoughts, on your insight
so much for
on
having
the
me.
gold prices. I hope I can see you again here on the show again time soon. So you stay safe and healthy out there.
All right, take care, guys. God bless. Bye.
Thank you. We are going for a break, but we will return with our daily recap from the first session of the trading today. Stay tuned on the C Today Business.